What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more opposition preview content. We've got AGT from COP TV. Obviously, it is Tottenham against Liverpool. Both teams started the season really well. No teams have lost yet. You've had one draw. We've had two draws. How are you feeling coming into this? Well, first of all, how are you, first of all? Let's start off with that.
I'm really good, boys. It's good to be on here again. Good to see you both looking very happy, as you should be, really, at the minute with the start that you've had. You've got to kind of think of Tottenham maybe in a different way from here on in. As much as I didn't really expect Liverpool to start this well because of the whole 2.0 thing, the big rebuild that we're doing. You know, for Tottenham as well, it's a great start for them. And you've almost got to look at them, like I said, in a different way, maybe focus on the new manager and think about his experience as a manager, his humility, his brilliance when he's on the microphone. Really, I'm a big fan of his, and I know he's a big fan of Liverpool as well, boys. So how does that make you feel?
Well, just keep your eye on Stevie G as your next manager. Just keep Ange Postecoglou out of your thinking.
Well, listen, I used to love Bill Shankly, mate. I had his posters up in the room. Used to love all the boot room stuff. So, you know, who knows, mate?
Look, you're completely right. I mean, I think a lot of fans are starting to think about Tottenham in a different light. But delving even deeper into it, I mean, how much of a difference are Spurs now to what you expected coming into the season?
I don't really know what I expected. It was a fresh start for Tottenham and it started really well. So obviously that has to continue. There's been a couple of blips, the loss in the cup, the two draws, you know, one was against Arsenal. And that was away. So you can't really knock that. But listen, mate, I think the one thing that no one really expected is even the hardest rival fans are now on Twitter. I guess you've had it in person as well, saying, you know what, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I really like him. I can't help but like him. I bet you've had that already. And I think no one really expected that. So couple that with, you know, performances on the pitch, and it's a great philosophy that all Tottenham fans are now buying into. I think at the start, maybe the name underwhelmed some people slightly, just based on the fact that you've had Conte and Mourinho in very recently, and they're obviously top elite managers. So it's you know, it's a great start from Tottenham, but the typical Tottenham litmus test is come March, April, where will you be? Will you still be fighting? That's the sign of a good Tottenham manager, I guess.
Talking about Liverpool, though, they'll start to the season 5 wins and 1 draw, 5 wins on the trot, and also the longest unbeaten run currently in the Premier League. I'm listening to what a lot of maybe rival fans.
Don't give him too much of an
That's
ego.
just the stats. That's just the facts. That's just the facts. Oh, what can I say? I can't lie. Doesn't hurt. I don't mind as long as you're stopping Arsenal winning the league. As long as you're stopping Arsenal winning the league, I don't mind. But from what I'm listening to a lot of rival fans still saying, oh, they're not sure about Liverpool defensively. Is this kind of form sustainable? Although, albeit, if again you look at the facts, you're second best defence currently in the league, but just behind City. So how are you looking at the start of the season? Are you thinking, wow, we're blowing teams away, I'm so impressed? Or are you thinking, look, we're winning games, but we're still conceding too many chances?
Probably a little bit of both, if I'm honest. The chances thing, yeah, it's still, you know, when you see someone like West Ham potentially should have been 2-0 up before we scored our first goal at Anfield on Sunday, there are still moments where, thankfully, look at our goalkeeper. Thankfully, he gets us out of trouble most shots that he faces. But yeah, I guess it is a little bit of a worry. Obviously, as a fan, you're naturally going to lean on the things that excite you a little bit more. So, you know, the emergence of Szoboszlai and McAllister in that midfield just looks ridiculously good so early on, which we have to be excited about. You know, yes, we're winning games. I wouldn't say we're necessarily blowing teams away. But you kind of look back to, and again, I'm not saying that we're going to go on and win the title by 20 odd points, but you kind of look back to 1920 as opposed to maybe a 22-23. So the 22-23 when we were on for the quad, or the 21-22, I should say. You know, we kind of were nicking results. We were winning last minute games. We were coming back from behind. We had to do a lot of work in that sense to stay on track for the quadruple, and we were kind of always chasing City. Whereas in 1920, when we won it, the first 28 games, we won 27 of them, and we just controlled those games from minute 1 to 90 without any stress. It might have been, you know, a 2-0 win, and it wasn't necessarily a 4 or 5, but just the control of the games when everyone was at their peak was incredible. And I think you've kind of got a little bit of a mix between both of those concepts. You look at Brendan Rodgers' 13-14 team, you score 3, we'll score 4 kind of tactic, which I guess can take you so far, but as we saw in the end with him, it wasn't to be. So if we can just keep winning games, no one's gonna complain, but at the same time you want to win them if you can in the right way, and convincingly. A couple more clean sheets would be nice. You know, I want to call it the re-emergence of Van Dijk is really impressive. He's actually won the most aerial duels out of any defender this season, and is great on the floor, as we know. Maybe could have got in above Bowen, but you know, he's 4 years older than the prime Van Dijk. So everything's, you know, when someone gets a little bit old, because I don't like using that word in football, because I'm about to turn 30 myself in January. That's approaching the last contract age, which I think has changed massively now. I think you can be a top player at 35.
Kane still costs 100 million at 30. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Well, you know, compare me and him, same height. Kind of. So, but yeah, I'm loving the fact that if someone does get a bit old, it's all right. You've got Quansah that comes in. The midfield was looking old, I'm not going to lie, all over 30s. But then you bring in Szoboszlai and McAllister, and you put a little bit of experience in with Waturo, or you bring Gravenberch in, or Salah's there with Nunes, or Salah's there with Ben Doak. It seems to complement. Everything seems to be complementing itself really nicely at the minute, because we bring on players and they score. So there's this really healthy competition. We've got loads of competitions that we're still in. So long may this good start continue, really. I'm impressed.
Obviously, you were lacking very much in the midfield areas last season. You've replenished that. I mean, you did miss out on Caicedo and Lavia. You ended up with Gravenberch and and Endo.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, and you've seen like with Jurgen Klopp, right? He's a manager that can take Pep Guardiola right to the wire. He's the only one that has really proved that he could do that in the Premier League. Do you feel that you've got that squad now that can go all the way with City?
I think on paper, yes, but again, and I keep going back to it, the 2.0 thing, it was kind of a bit of a joke, but now, because of Klopp is in his 8th season, everyone was talking last season about the 7th season syndrome, but no one's seen him in an 8th season yet.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of judge. Listen, if we don't win the league this year, I want to get to May knowing that next year we really can go toe to toe with City. I think Liverpool have almost got not a free pass, but it is definitely a building year. But Klopp, he loves the new team, he calls it. He's saying, you know, it can grow. I don't know how big. But when Klopp's excited, it's time to also be excited as a fan, because he's the one working with these guys behind the scenes. And like I said, time will tell. Let's get to March. Ask me that again. But all I want is by May, I go, now I definitely know that we can go toe-to-toe with them. Because at the minute, it's still a little bit of the unknown, I guess.
It is a bit unknown, but also people got to take into account last season, although you had a poor season, I think the last 10 games, you won 8 of them, didn't you? Or 9 of them. You had a really strong end to the season. That front 5, you didn't really sign an attacker in the summer because you didn't need to. You got, for me, you got 5 of the best attacking options in the league. So are you a bit surprised maybe that Liverpool weren't taken a bit more seriously going into this season, considering how strongly you ended the season and the track record Klopp has? Because I feel like, especially, I mean, I'm guessing I'm directly looking at Arsenal fans here. Arsenal, like there were suggestions that Liverpool could maybe challenge Arsenal for that title challenging spot this season, and that was completely brushed off and wasn't even considered at the beginning of the season. But considering all those factors, why is it such a surprise that Liverpool could potentially get back in the title race?
If you look at the stretch of 17 games unbeaten, that's pretty much half a season. So, you know, a lot of people said the midfield didn't have any legs. Well, actually, the last 10 games of the season, as you said, we won 9 with Henderson, Fabinho, these kind of guys in the midfield. So to actually seamlessly carry that run on into this season with a totally new midfield is impressive. I actually quite prefer it when people maybe don't think of us as the top dogs or challenging the top dogs. We kind of quite nicely going around our own business under the radar a little bit, if you want, which I actually prefer. But I don't think people should be surprised. It's still the same manager. Majority of the players are the same. We've obviously moved in some, we've moved out some. But we're still, I know it might sound big-headed or whatever, but we are Liverpool Football Club. This is what we should be doing. So Jurgen Klopp, him at the helm, I'm hearing that he maybe wants to stay longer, which I'm all for. So, you know, the players come and go, but the manager's still there, and he's the only man. I think there's 3 managers ever that have stopped Pep winning the league. It's Conte's Chelsea, Klopp's Liverpool, and
that was it, I think. Mourinho.
Yeah, but Jurgen Klopp could potentially be the guy to do it twice for the first time ever. So I'm not getting ahead of myself in the slightest whatsoever, but I do believe that with him at the helm, knowing what he's already done for us, is it that surprising, really? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if it's surprising or not. I was saying at the back end of last season with the form you were on, if you can replenish that midfield and take that form into the new season, then I think you could challenge for the title. But I do kind of feel like Man City are going to run away with it at some point this season. But look, it's a long season to go. We are only 6 games in, so anything can happen. But moving on to the game this weekend, Spurs against Liverpool, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's always a great game when us two face each other. Spurs always seem to just miss so many easy chances.
It's a cursed game.
The cursed game for us, for sure. It really is. But I think we've beaten you twice at our stadium since 2012 or something. It's a crazy stat. Yeah. But when you're looking at Spurs in the first 6 games, where do you think the key matchups are on the pitch? And are you worried about coming up against any of these Spurs players this weekend?
I'd agree with the curse thing. I think it's 1 win since 2017 against Liverpool. And it was the 4-1 at Wembley, which actually I have to thank you for, because after that, we didn't lose a game for about 30 games. So, it's been a while since you've won. There have been loads of flash points in games where you look at the Sissoko chance at the Anfield Road end. Amazing defending by Van Dijk, to be honest. The way he's said, "Go on, I don't think you're going to score this on your left. Have a pop, see what you got." So if he scores that, the game could be over. There was that own goal right in the last minute. There was the Jota game last year, which I was at after Richarlison scored. Your reaction to that, by the way, were
yeah, you had to bring that up. You had to bring that up, didn't you?
No, I had to, mate. I had to. Thank you for that content, I have to say. So,
is there time for another one?
Well, don't say that, because you might jinx it again.
There was so many. The Lo Celso one a few years ago. Even Højbjerg at Anfield a couple of years back in the last kick of the game. You know, so many.
Even, to be fair, I took my girlfriend there. It was the first game she came to Anfield, the 2-2, where Kane's dived to get 2 penalties, and the ref actually admits on the sideline he didn't actually think it was a pen, and then still gives it. Salah scores an equaliser.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, Salah scores equaliser, but you could have won that 2-1.
Didn't Kane miss a penalty that day?
Yeah, and there was that game under Conte where we had about 10 one-on-ones, and like we drew 2-2 in the end of the stadium. And there was another one where we won 1-0 as well. Yeah, that was that one as well. It's just it seems to be a curse in this game. Tottenham, however well we play, we can't seem to get a result against Liverpool. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's how it goes. Obviously, I'm touching wood here to hope that carries on. But in terms of matchups, is Maddison available for this? Can you confirm?
It looks like it.
Looks like it.
Right. Okay. Not great.
Well, there's the first bit of fear I'm sensing.
Exactly. A bit of trepidation there.
I'll give you that one. You can have that one. No, listen, he was unbelievable at the Emirates, and the way he turned Saka, the way he kind of finished the game. As I know Saka might have stole his celebration or whatever, but he was the main man in that game. Let's have it right. In terms of creating, we know he can score, we know he can assist, we know he's got a great free kick. So even if we're playing Leicester tonight. I'm going to Anfield, and if he was playing for Leicester tonight in the Championship, I'd be saying he's the one you need to look out for. So no matter who he plays for, he's a massive threat. Son, obviously, so clinical, loves a goal against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So obviously them two are standouts. Mickey van der Ven, we were looking at him for a long time before you guys got him. I think we've kind of trusted in Jarrell Quansah to play that kind of up and coming CB backup role. So he looked good. And obviously, listen, the last home game you had, that late win, is going to give you massive confidence going into this one. The fact that you can stick it out right till the end. So I'm looking forward to a really tight game. As always, there's big moments in these games. I think Kane should have had a red card a few years ago. So
Robertson should have had a red card a few years ago as well, shouldn't he?
Who?
Robertson. Didn't he? Did he get one?
He got one under contract the year before. He should have been sent off, and he didn't get sent off. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. In terms of injuries, are the likes of like Konate, Trent, are they going to be fit for this one?
Yeah, full strength squad, boys. Obviously, touch wood, we get through tonight unscathed. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw, I had a bit of a random meeting with Konate a couple of weeks ago in Liverpool, where I asked, and he'd been out a month, and I said, "When are you back?" And he said, "This week." So I had a selfie and put it on Twitter. It got like 500,000 impressions, and when he wasn't starting that game against Wolves, I was like, oh no. But to be fair, he came on at 1-1. We won the game 3-1, so technically he was back for that game, but he'll be back. Trent has been training this week with the ball, which is great. Hamstring kind of injury, it's kept him out for about 3 weeks now, so he'll be back. Joe Gomez has been great in his place, to be fair. I have to give Joe Gomez credit because he's our longest serving player, 8 years now, which seems crazy still how young he is. But yeah, Trent will be back. Konate will be back. The only one, I say full strength team, I kind of almost blur out Thiago now, just because it seems that Klopp says every week, oh, he'll be back after the international break, but we don't know which international break that is, unfortunately. So he's just, I love the guy. He's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen play for Liverpool in the flesh. But yeah, he won't be playing. And apart from that, that's about it.
Who do you think your best front three is? If you were good to go with one on a
Diaz,
Saturday.
Salah,
Diaz and Nunes,
and Salah. That for me, that's and I was saying this last season because I've been such an ardent fan of Nunes. In amongst all the criticism that he had last season, I just had a deep down strong feeling that he would become what he should be this season, and I think we're going to see that. So he's up front, but then how can you say that to Jota and Gakpo? Like, and they would start pretty much for anyone in the Premier League, maybe apart from City, but there's an argument to say Jota would start, you know, for 19 teams, Gakpo maybe 10 to 15 teams. So, you know, and then Ben Doak, who we're massively keen on in terms of the next right winger coming through, 17-year-old Scottish kid that we bought from Celtic. He's going to play tonight, as he did last week against Lask. So honestly, there's 6 players there that if any of them started any game, I wouldn't be, you know, if I saw the team sheet on Sunday and saw Jota and Gakpo up front instead of Diaz and Nunes, I'd be like, still unreal. Should still, like, Jota loves a goal against Tottenham as well, as we know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would go with those 3 personally.
I think Darwin Núñez just is one of those classic he just suits the Liverpool number 9 so much. I think he's a really, really top player, to be fair.
I love him, mate.
But what's your score prediction going into it?
Oh,
you just froze for a second. But what's your score prediction going into it?
Score prediction, I'll go 2-1 Liverpool. You know, I don't think I've ever really come on before a Tottenham game and said 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, ever. So based on the last few results, based on how tight the games have been, I'll go 2-1 Nunes and Salah, I think. And then Maddison or Son to score for you guys.
All right, AGT, bring it on. You coming down to London this weekend for the game?
Yeah, I'll be down in London on Thursday. I'll be doing the game, though, on DR Sports.
Right.
So I'm sure there'll be some good or bad reactions from myself, depending on what happens in the game. Yeah, I was at the game last season against Tottenham at you guys' place. I was at the Firmino one. It is a great ground, I have to say. It's unbelievable when it gets going. And I was doing the Saturday football show when you guys beat Sheffield United last minute. And the noise in there, I mean, you guys were there, you can tell me, but if it gets anywhere near like that, then we've definitely got a big game on our hands for sure. Yeah,
the atmosphere home and away, every single game for Spurs this season has been incredible. It really has. But look, that is our preview. Thanks for coming on, AGT. Everyone go and subscribe to COP TV and hang tight because the combined 11 is coming very soon. But thank you very much, AGT, for coming on.
No worries, boys. Thank you.